you Zoom before?
Oh yeah, a few times just with like interviews and stuff like that. Just with like not even just with like works and stuff like that.
How do I sound? Do I sound good?
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay, good.
Yes, I hear you fine. Do I sound fine? I'm gonna get a mic soon. I'm excited to just hold a mic in my video because I think that will be funny.
Yeah.
It's like, why is this guy just holding a mic in all this? He doesn't need to do that, but I'm going to in all my videos. But anyway,
I would get a little closer if you could.
closer. Oh, perfect. No problem. I can. How's this sound for you?
Yeah, that's better. That's better. Good.
Okay. Cool. Perfect.
Okay. Yes, I'm ready to go.
I am also ready to go.
Do not need my grocery list right now.
Later we could talk about the best things at the grocery store if you want. I mean, I got time, but little one's asleep.
Yeah, I don't want to get started on that. I'll just go down a rabbit hole right now. Okay.
Go down the MMA rabbit hole.
That's the kind I like to get lost in.
There's always so much to talk about. It's just changing so fast.
Yeah, like the last time we recorded, we did this big long segment on Michael Chandler versus Justin Gaethje, and then as soon as we're done recording it, everything has changed.
Everything's changed. Michael Chandler, Oliveira now, and then now it's Dustin and Connor. Looks like that fight could be teetering, but we'll get into that.
Yep. Better turn my sound down. I'm gonna close my garage too in case something happens.
No problem. No worries.
Motorcycle comes down the alley or some shit at my parents' house. Okay. 5, 4, 3. What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Nuts and Bolts MMA, where you get the nuts and bolts of what's going on inside the world of MMA. I am your host, Travis Montgomery. Thank you so much for joining us. Nuts and Bolts MMA is now on Stitcher, and we have videos on YouTube, so be sure to go check them out. We are also on Apple Podcasts. Please subscribe. You don't have to listen, but if you give me a subscribe, I think that would be awesome. We are also on all social media platforms. I am so glad to be doing this with you guys tonight. We will be recapping UFC Vegas 23, UFC Vegas on ABC 2. It's two different names for some reason that we'll get into in a little bit. A couple news items, but joining me today, Real Quick Picks is back. Mitch, how are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling pretty good. Thanks for having me to talk about the fights that took place. I'm doing great tonight. How are you?
I'm a little sore because Saturday I ran a half marathon, and I'm still kind of recovering from that, but I felt great. I'm going through this thing with somebody that rents from me. For anybody that doesn't know, I have a huge house in Bakersfield, and I rent out the rooms, and I live there for cheap. And someone is owing me money. He's giving me the runaround. Was supposed to give me money on Saturday, and he didn't give me money on Saturday. Actually tried to come at me a little bit aggressive about it. And instead of reacting like old Travis would, I said, screw it. I'm going for an unplanned run. And it was like Forrest Gump. I just kept going. And I ran so far away from my house that I had to run back. And it turned into a half marathon. And I know you like to do some running yourself. What does a normal run look like for you?
No, yeah, I was gonna say I feel like nothing solves problems better than a nice long run. But I'd say on average my runs range from like a 2-mile run to maybe a 10-mile run. A half marathon would be kind of a long one just for fun. But yeah, I'd say somewhere around there.
I feel like after you get past 8 miles or 9 miles, I'm just throwing my legs in front. of each other at that point, and it's just like,
You get to a point where you're just hanging out there. You almost
Yeah.
don't want to stop because when's the next time you're gonna be, that many
It's true.
miles?
And I will say this: I did a half marathon last year, but this was before I was taking any supplements, and I was really dead the next day. I could barely work. But now that I'm taking protein and amino acids, and then I took them the next day, like I'm functional. I was good. I could barely function. Like it was gross. But this time I feel better with the proteins. But yes, after I was done with the run, I didn't give a shit about anything anymore because that's just how it goes. That's why I do. I kind of run for mental health. My dumbass ate a big burrito afterwards at 11 at night, but it's like, but it truly shows you that I run for mental health because I normally eat fine, but I said, screw it. I'm going to go eat a burrito. But okay, that's all fine and dandy. So we have a kind of a breaking issue. I almost want to create a segment on the show called Twitter Beef Corner or something like that because there's so much stuff that goes down on Twitter.
Agree. Yep.
So in this case, one of our favorite Twitter warriors and maybe the most popular one, Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier are going at it. It was weird because it seemed like Dustin came out of nowhere with this tweet and said, "Great prediction." Maybe Conor was on a video. Do you know how it started from the patient zero? Because it sounded like Conor was in an interview or something, and then Dustin had his tweet, which I'll get to in a minute. But do you know how it started?
I don't know exactly how it started. I know that somehow Conor predicted that he was going to finish with a front kick to the face in the 4th round. I'm pretty sure. Maybe he didn't say to the face, but a front kick in the 4th round. And then Dustin said, interesting prediction. You also predicted this donation. It almost seemed like it was something that was almost burning inside of Dustin since it's almost like he felt blindsided by the lack of donation that came in after the love, I guess, that they shared together or whatever I thought that Conor had donated already or was going to. I suppose that was the impression I was under when they were getting ready for that fight in January, but it seems like it never happened. And so Dustin said that, and Conor responded quite angrily.
Yes, he mentioned you stopped responding after the fight in January. See you soon. July 10th, paid in full. Conor responds, a donation, not a debt. We've been awaiting the plans for the money that never came. I do with all my donations know where it's going, dot for dot. I don't know what kind of currency that is, by the way, but dots.
Wait. There was also a tweet before that where he said that the fight was off or pretended like
it was after. I think, it was after that. We'll get to that.
Okay.
As the case was with a lot of foundations, sadly, he took over. He took the McGregor over the belt shows I was right. So what he means is Dustin turned down the belt and then wanted the money fight. But then now like you said, fights off. So he's trying to screw Dustin Poirier by not giving him. So here's the aggressive tweet that came back after. This was about 12 hours ago. You're ripped, you inbred hillbilly. Why do you wink with your ears, you fucking brain dead hillbilly? 5K with no plan in place. Ye hang tight, fool. You must be new to money. The fight is off, by the way. I'm going to fight someone else on the 10th. Good luck on your old contract, kid. So this is Conor playing hardball now with Dustin. He's trying to get under Dustin's skin. What's your take on what happened here?
I feel like it's honestly some good Twitter fun. I mean, do you feel like this fight's in danger?
Yes, I do.
Okay, interesting. I guess I'm not convinced yet. I feel like if anything, I guess I have seen some things about like Gaethje, Conor McGregor, but I figured it was just kind of fan stuff. I don't feel like the fight's in danger, so at that rate, I feel like it's kind of just some Twitter fun, and I'm excited to see the trilogy. I mean, I think out of all of Conor's fights that aren't Khabib, Dustin Poirier still sells. Maybe Nate Diaz sells better than that, but you know, um, but maybe Conor thinks otherwise. Maybe he thinks he sells with whoever his dance partner is. I don't know. I
No,
don't
I
see
see.
why
I
Conor
see what
would
you're
want.
saying with this added drama, and I almost would be better if they fought other people. To be honest with you, I don't need them to
I
fight
don't
each
hate
other
that
again.
idea. I suggested Max Holloway versus Conor McGregor. Let's try 155 again. While Conor McGregor's, I like this theme of Conor McGregor rematching everyone. We've already got a Nate Diaz rematch, a Poirier rematch. Let's say Max Holloway gets the better of him, and then now he's got 3 rematch options.
You know
Or
what?
anyone
I
new.
be perfectly honest with you. I wouldn't. I wouldn't even be mad if Conor McGregor retires. And I know it's going to be an unpopular opinion, but I mean, he looked good, and this is coming from someone who made a prediction last week that Conor McGregor is going to beat Dustin Poirier. But if he's not in it, and it seems like he's in wacky mode right now and not serious, and his fight's 3 months away. He better be in the middle of a training camp right now. Not on this Twitter bullshit. So if he's not
Yeah,
taking it seriously, I don't want to see him get knocked out again. And a part of me did think he looked pretty old in that last fight. He needs to grow his hair out, or he just looked like old weathered man Connor kind of. I don't know.
I will say if there's a trilogy, I like Dustin in it, kind of for some of the reasons you've mentioned. I feel like he did seem kind of past his prime, maybe in that last fight. It's hard for me to expect some emergence of a new Connor coming out for a trilogy. But I feel like while he's being wacky on Twitter, I'm not so sure that he seems like he's not ready and willing and interested in fighting. I feel like you still see things that are related to him training or hitting some heavy bags or what have you. But
So, I mean, the only person he could fight is Justin Gaethje. Everyone else is booked.
Justin Gaethje, I still think Max Holloway could be interesting. I don't know what's going on there. Is he really going to fight another 145er? He's going to hurt someone. If it's not Zabit, then I'm not sure how interested I am in it.
If you had your choice, would you pick Max Holloway to fight Connor or Zabit?
If
If it was up to, if you
I,
were
I would choose Connor. I would choose Connor in a heartbeat.
Connor,
Yeah. If but I think Connor's going to fight Dustin again. I think he's
I
going to
don't
fight.
know. And then
We'll see. I think the Twitter stuff will unfold quickly. But I find it hard to believe that Connor is this mad over some sort of a 500K charity outing, public outing that he's going to now,
and
unless
again,
maybe he never wanted to fight in the first place. Then, but unless that's the case, I feel like he's fighting. Maybe I just want to believe it, right? But
and there's an
yeah.
aspect to this where I get where Conor McGregor's coming from because, and we're about to get a little bit controversial here, but donating to places like the Red Cross and huge charities like that, a lot of the time, 10% of your donations getting where you think it's going, fraction of it's getting where you're going. And in times of crisis, or if you really want to donate, my philosophy is find boots on the ground or find local. Like I donated to the Houston Food Bank when they had their crazy hurricane a couple years ago. Find and do some research on where you're donating your money to. Anyone out there should do their due diligence and their research to make sure that. I mean, if you have a good heart and you want to be a philanthropist in any way, you got to know where your money's going. And I think that's kind of what Connor was saying a little bit.
Did you see Dustin's response where he says, like, as I said, you didn't respond to us trying to tell you how the money was going to be used?
Yeah.
Could all just be like PR responses from either side. It's so interesting, but
I would like
I
to see
really
get to
like
the
to
bottom of it though. And again, like who's winning this Twitter war right now? It's hard to say.
it's really kind of silly, right? The fans just have something to talk about, and it's like I really feel like it honestly kind of leads to nothing unless the fight does get canceled, which isn't great sounding to me, but I kind of hope it is just this little thing that the fans talk about. We move on, we see the third fight. I think it goes right now. I think it goes Dustin's way personally, but you never know. I mean, we all know we're changing our minds all the time with these fights, or at least I am sometimes, but
Yep.
hoping the fight is still intact. If not, I want to see the Max Holloway one.
Yeah, I don't know. Just reading these two guys go back and forth today, it's as much as I want to make this a segment, I don't know. It's kind of turning me off on this fight.
No,
Seeing the Twitter, and I think
it
they're.
sucks for Dustin,
I mean,
right? He should have been fighting for the belt, and now it's like that sucks. But
So
that's
if Dustin turned down the belt and to fight Connor, and Connor's going to say, "Screw you, Dustin. You're going to try and out me in public. I'm going to screw you by not giving you the money fight." And then Chandler and Oliveira are already booked. That's not changing. So where does that leave Dustin? He's going to fight Gaethje again. He's going to fight RDA because those are the only people that aren't booked.
Who's Islam booked with?
He's not, but he's only ranked 10th right now.
Okay. 10th. Where's RDA? Like 6 to 8, somewhere around there. I'm sure Gaethje's like top 5. Dustin's got to be.
So Islam's 11th, Dan Hooker's 8th, RDA 7th, Connor 6th. Everyone's booked up until Justin Gaethje at 2nd.
He'd have to wait for the next shot at the belt, and that's could be a war. So who knows when either of them are going to be ready to fight again. So,
yep.
Interim lightweight belt again. Who knows?
Don't forget about Kevin Lee.
Where does Kevin Lee fit into it?
I thought he was going to be champ at one point in time, but all right, let's move on to our next news item. We're going to have a longer news segment later on this week coming up with the preview show for UFC Vegas on ESPN. UFC on ESPN. Whitaker versus Gastelum. But next, real quick, Miesha Tate's coming out of retirement. She is going to be at a UFC event on July 14th. No venue has been, July 10th. No venue has been booked, but she's going to be fighting Mario Renault. So here's a situation where we have somebody coming out of retirement and then fighting somebody on their retirement fight. July 17th. She was my favorite fighter for a long time. Her comeback versus Holly Holm was crazy. Her feud with Ronda Rousey was super interesting at the time. You have any thoughts on this one?
Oh yeah, a whole bunch of thoughts, but it's interesting because before that announcement, no one was thinking Miesha Tate was fighting again. That was not a thought anyone would have. No one was having any theory on that except for Miesha Tate and her team. It seems like it's interesting. She's 34. It seems coming out to fight a 43-year-old on a 4-fight loss streak. So it's like, this is a very transparent fight. I feel like, and I imagine, Miesha Tate, who knows how much she's been training, but maybe I'm just being a fan, but I still feel like, she could definitely compete with, maybe not the best of them, but like up there in the upper tier. But I expect her to get a win here, and I'm going to tune in. It'll be an exciting fight, but did not see this coming at all. I got to say, that's always fun where the retirements. A lot of times the retirement fighter comes back and it's not so exciting, but this one I'm pretty excited about.
You definitely have it right with no one was expecting it, but I was happy to see the news. She said she was going through some personal stuff in her life. I think it was her terrible breakup with what's his face. His name is escaping me right now. His face is right there, though. No one really likes him.
Just throw that in.
Yeah, no one really liked that guy, even as a fighter.
Okay.
Brian Caraway. I guess he, if Miesha Tate broke up with me, she would have to change her number, her address. She probably would have to move out of the country. She broke up with me. She would have to relocate to Iceland because I would hunt her down. Uh, just, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, she's
That's
that
funny.
beautiful, and she seems so like genuine and cool too. Like
I
like the,
love Misha Tate. She's cool. I
she's the
wish we
kind of
saw her
girl
more
you want
kind
to
of
be
on the
with.
media side of things. Absolutely. Excited to see her fight here. I see she's got some wins over Jessica I, and like, wow, that was like 5 years ago. People consider Jessica I, a contender in these years. So I'm just very interested. Where does Misha Tate, um, where where does that put her?
Yeah. Well, so let me go back to my point. I started talking about how dreamy she is, and my point just got lost. She was going through her personal issues with her knockout loss to Amanda Nunes, which she had like a terrible broken nose. And then she pretty much just got bullied by Rocky Pennington. And then it kind of looked like she should stop fighting at that point because she was just looked unmotivated. But if we get a motivated Misha Tate, she could make it to an Amanda Nunes fight and get her nose broken again. I mean, there's
Yeah,
always that.
I mean, it's just unfair. I mean, if we look at Raquel Pennington, I see losses to Holly Holm, Jermaine Durandamy, Amanda Nunes, Holly Holm. Like these are
She
elite
she
class
won one of
fighters.
those Holly Holm fights, right?
I see
Fifth
two
round
losses.
submission.
I just see unanimous decision and a split decision. Was there a third fight then? I'm talking Raquel Pennington versus
Oh,
Holly Holm. Um,
Misha Tate won the title from a come from behind fifth round
yeah,
submission.
yeah. Misha Tate beat
Misha Tate did. Okay.
Holly Holm. All I'm saying is, her losses are to Amanda Nunes and Raquel Pennington. I mean, those are those are tough losses. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't think you should retire losses, but that's what happened at the time. Who knows if she retired because she lost and felt like she couldn't compete? As you said, there were other things going on that she's been open about. Um, but
There was some "you can't quit me, bitch. You can't quit me."
well,
That's
yeah.
you
Wait,
can't
what is
quit
that?
me.
I
No,
haven't seen.
that's Brian Caraway saying "you can't quit me, bitch." She's like probably stalking her and stuff, which is totally understandable. I'm just kidding. That is
No,
not. I'm
I
making
hear you.
jokes here.
Yeah, no,
I don't.
stalking's not okay, but it's supposed to be flattering.
It is.
She's an
Thank
attractive
you
woman.
for
She's
clearing that up.
definitely an attractive woman. I'm excited to see her back. Shout out to the Venom gear, I guess, while we're on this topic. So
Yes. Shout out to the Venom gear, which probably should lower their prices a bit.
yeah. Oh, I haven't looked. Is it pretty
And it's not good.
okay?
Okay, we'll move on to the main reason why we are here tonight is to recap UFC on Vegas 23. Took place at the Apex Center. No crowd yet, but we had some pretty fun fights. Marvin Vettori defeats Kevin Holland via unanimous decision, 50-44 across the board. All three judges gave round two a 10-8 round. Mitch, what are your big takeaways from what happened here?
I feel like this was one of those main events where the tone was kind of like there's a puncher's chance, but if not, it's probably going to look similar to something like this. For instance, I feel like if Ngannou Stipe didn't go Ngannou's way, something like that, where the first few rounds we're wondering if there's going to be this knockout, and if not, we maybe foresaw Stipe wrestling Ngannou. For at any rate, this was one of those ones where Kevin Holland looked great standing up. I'm not sure if Marvin Vettori didn't want to stand with him or if he just felt more comfortable doing this kind of like bully against the cage type fight. But I feel like anyone that didn't see the fight going something like that was kind of predicting with their heart a little bit, being a fan, if I'm being honest. Marvin Vettori kind of outsizes big middleweights in there, let alone Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland just talked about going down to 170 a week later. Fights at middleweight. No disrespect though. I mean, thanks for putting up the show, and that's always, appreciate the company man attitude, competitor attitude, stuff like that. But Marvin Vettori won it, and I feel like that's kind of how I saw it going, or potentially going.
Yeah. Maybe if Vittori had had a full camp to train for Holland, he might have stood a little more. But in a late placement, replacement, um, yeah, he's got to do what he can to get a win because he's up there at the very top of the division, chomping at the bit to get a title shot, which, maybe he's one win away from that now. If he would have got a finish, maybe he's the next one in line for a title shot. But, first round, Kevin Holland is opening up on the feet and he looks good. But it's the same thing. He gets taken down. He can't stop these bulldogs at middleweight that are going to take him down. And there's a lot of them at middleweight. Yep. Shout out to Vittori's Wrestling because he did the thing where he gets his hands clasped around the legs, and there's a couple different things you can do to get a double leg, but he's switching the angle. DC was commentating on it. Nice. He's switching the angle. He takes a step back, and he did it over and over and over. And Kevin Holland, there was nothing he can do to stop it, he got up a couple times. You can tell that some work had been done in that area, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, it just wasn't enough. And I think size was a big factor. I feel like we've got reason to believe that Vettori was somewhere between 15 to 20 pounds heavier than Holland. I feel like,
sure.
But, and then on top of that, I mean, Vettori's a good wrestler. He'll take down, I mean, without the size problem, you know what I mean? And it is hard to be critical over Kevin Holland's takedown defense when it's Brunson and Vettori, because you could almost see them taking down anyone, but at the same time, it kind of sucked to see someone seem so helpless in that department. But what's great about Kevin Holland is I haven't seen a single person that's not interested in what he's doing next. So,
yeah, well, but if he keeps losing fights, he's going to find himself in Bellator, maybe.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but right now I think he's got options, and that's good. Whether it's a big step down in middleweight division or 170, maybe someone in the lower top 15 or even outside. But
so
keeps weighing in at 183. I'm not sure what that's about, but
so Marvin Vettori moves up 4 spots to number 6. And Kevin Holland moves down 3 spots. He's ranked number 10 now at middleweight. Personally, outside the top 5 at welterweight, I think he beats all those guys.
Some good fights there, you think?
Yeah, Stephen Thompson, Masvidal, Leon Edwards, Gilbert Burns, Colby Covington, Usman. I think they all give him problems, especially Usman, but I see him beating all those other people: Luque, Chiesa, Maya, Magny, Woodley, Neal.
I'd like to see a lot of those fights that you're.
Yeah,
people you're at.
Jeff Neal versus Kevin Holland would be great. I know that Jeff Neal just got a fight booked. If you go to Nuts and Bolts MMA on Instagram, you see all the fight announcements and bookings and stuff like that. Anyways, yeah, it's, as a Kevin Holland fan, I don't know. I didn't like that he took this fight so much, but what can you do?
Yeah. It sucks. I almost want to just look past this fight and pretend it didn't happen. I know it did happen, but I don't want to say that this moves him a step towards retirement or anything like that, or down in organization. I feel like he took the fight on. This reminds me of Paul Felder when he took the short notice fight against RDA recently. I didn't really knock that against Paul Felder, although that one was a better fight, I will admit. I thought, but it just reminded me of that situation where they came in short notice, gangster move, didn't see them winning, put on the show, and we got to see what's next for him. Save the show.
Let's see what's next. I'm interested. He's got to get a win his next fight, so UFC should throw him a bone. I hope they do.
Mhm.
In our co-main event, Arnold Allen defeats Sadiq Youssef via unanimous decision, 29-28 across the board. Arnold Allen looked good, huh?
Yeah, Arnold Allen looked really good. I wouldn't argue with someone that said that they thought it was 3-0. I wasn't sure who I would give that third round to. If that's the one in question, I guess I didn't see exactly which one the judges gave which way.
Probably
But
third one.
Probably. He stunned him in the first two. So to me, that fight was like two heavy prospects going in. And then one came out victorious. I feel like I'm still pretty high on both of them. I don't think any of them looked like they were lacking anywhere. Arnold Allen just looked very almighty there. He looked very good.
Yes, he did. He looked almighty. His movement is good. I wonder if he can keep that up for 5 rounds, all that activity that he does with his moving in and out, and he looks like he could.
Yep.
His movement was giving Youssef fits, and he was getting caught running in, like I kind of predicted on the last show.
It was crazy to watch because you see him kind of backing up, just kind of moving around the outside. Sadiq Youssef trying to kind of invade his space, move in, and Arnold Allen let him know he wasn't messing around. He was throwing that crazy, was it a left power hand, just real. He was trying to hurt him, let him know, gained respect, and
yeah,
it was crazy.
Drops him with a head kick.
Second round,
and Youssef looked like he was
like almost like doing the chicken dance, and then I don't remember if he actually went down. He was like stunned. It was like, how is he not down?
He was wobbled.
Yeah. That was a good fight.
Yeah, in the first round he landed like that left, like you said.
Yep.
He was popping him a lot.
Yep. Sadiq Youssef did good things as well, especially toward the third. I guess the one that he seemed to have won, but it was a little too late. And the first two definitely were not questionable, I would say.
Yeah, I don't know if they've adjusted the rankings at all, but Arnold Allen's still at rank 10, and Sadiq Youssef is rank 11.
Who's above him at 9 and on?
Stevens, Ige, Emmett, Cater. Shit, why not Arnold Allen? Where the hell is Yair Rodriguez?
Interesting. Is he on the ranking though? He should be up.
Yeah, he's 4th. Zabit's 3rd.
He can't fight because of disclosed location. He didn't disclose his location.
That's
got to be done soon though, probably. And Jeremy Stevens, he should be. I mean, he's fighting at 155, so he shouldn't even be on that list, in my opinion. So, I'd say move those boys up. I mean, that was like both a top competitor fight and a prospect fight at the same time. Like that was an insane fight. I don't see either of those guys. I mean, there's so many studs in that division in 155. I mean, all the divisions are getting so strong. I was talking to someone about even just women's MMA in general and how much more vicious some of those divisions have gotten. But at any rate, it was a great fight. Arnold Allen came through very strong.
Yeah, I'd like to see him matched up with Cater or Emmett, and let's get him, figure out that portion of the division.
Yeah, I would like to, if I'm being honest, I think I would like to see the Emmett one more, but I feel like Emmett deserves someone ahead of him.
Yeah.
He's been, what's his history like? I want to pull that up. does he have a recent loss I'm not remembering? I feel like he's one of the guys that I feel like has been a little disrespected, and he needs to be given a chance and not prospects, if you will.
Yes, Arnold Allen being so young, he's just going to go higher and higher.
Yeah. Him and Stevens could have been a nice one if Stevens wasn't moving up to close. Stevens is just always a good option.
Yeah, he's a good option for anyone. Although those miles are going to start catching up to him soon.
Yeah.
So, no, Arnold Allen's 27. I mean, he is hitting his peak.
Yeah.
Fun stuff to watch. Anything else you want to add about you were looking up
other than the 145 division is stacked and one of the most fun ones to keep an eye on. I mean, matchmaking in that division is so fun, seeing what's going to happen. We need Yair Rodriguez back. We need Zabit to fight. Max Holloway even has a question mark. It's just what's going on.
Yeah. Need to figure some of that stuff out. Okay.
At least we got Danny Day and Zombie.
Yeah, we got that prediction right, baby.
Yeah.
Nice. I even boosted that video on Facebook ads because I had to do it because they gave me $5 and Facebook won't promote your stuff until you start buying ads. It's kind of how they work. So I used the $5 credit to promote that video. So there's like 1,000 views on that one for Facebook now.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
The featured bout, Sam Alvey versus Julian Marquez. Marquez defeats Sam Alvey via technical submission. He didn't tap, but he got choked all the way out. I think Alvey hit his knee on the refs, or he hit his head on the ref's knee, like falling over sideways. But before that, he was getting absolutely curb stomped. What are your thoughts on this one? Did you see that shit, man?
I did watch that fight. It was pretty one-sided. That choke was pretty vicious. I mean, that was one of the more violent chokes I've ever seen. I know that him, Julian Marquez, and Henry Cejudo are in different weight divisions, but there's got to be like a cringiest MFer in the game. That post speech was just awful. I mean, respect though. I love how Kansas City, I feel like Midwest tends to stay loyal, so I knew they were going to reply. But the shout out for the pickleball was just, come on. But kudos to him. He got the win. It was his night. He can do what he wants with the interview, huh?
I'm glad you mentioned that because I wasn't even going to bring it up. But I always appreciate it when a fighter has it. It's better than old thing that we get all the time with the Russian fighters. So, put anybody in front of me. And I know there's a language barrier there, but don't call anybody out, and don't make it memorable, even though it's cringy. I think it's good as a fighter has something ready.
I agree. I mean, we're talking about it right now. Ones that come to mind immediately, I was thinking, you remember Dan Hooker's call out to Paul Felder when he was being interviewed in the ring? And he's like, "Who'd you like to fight next?" And he's like, "I've got a available 155 right in front of me." And he's talking about Paul Felder, and that was a good call out. I mean, ones that you can just talk about after at all. I mean, he's got the Kansas City Chiefs talking about his post-fight interview. I agree. There's got to be some sort of an effort, anything, just something for the fans to talk about.
Don't do what Ben Rothwell did, though. I don't know if you remember that.
I do not. What did he do?
He went full WWE. He went full heel WWE and was like, and like foaming out of the mouth and like went like to a dark place. I don't know. Anybody that wants to, maybe I'll put it up on the socials tomorrow for anybody tomorrow, which would actually be today, the day that it's coming out. Maybe I'll clip that out and put it on, and I'll tag you in it so you can see in case you missed it. It was you think Triple C is cringy, you think that was cringy, it squares that and then takes that number and squares it again.
I'm gonna have to check that
to
out.
the fourth power. Yeah, it's pretty bad. But still, it's like you said, we're talking about it. That Ben Rothwell cut will, for anybody that watched it, it's unfortunately concreted in people's brain.
I'm gonna watch. That's awesome.
Okay, a couple more to discuss here. We're not going to do the whole card. Nina Nunes versus Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern defeats Nunes via submission armbar round 1. Was fighting to get it for a while. Had some success on the feet. What do you think about this bout?
Yeah, pretty much that. She was fighting to get it for a while. She did have some success on the feet, but Mackenzie Dern, she honestly impressed me. I don't know if I was sleeping on Mackenzie Dern going into this or if I expected more out of Nina Nunes, but this was also a pretty one-sided bout toward the end of the first round. They're pretty much fighting for this armbar that she eventually gets. I kind of thought we were going to see a second round, but Mackenzie Dern really knows how to snatch up that arm and force the grip and control basically grab it and complete the submission. The talk I see now tends to be Joanna Dern, but interested to see what's next. I imagine Nina Nunes might be toward the end of her career though, but we'll see what's coming next.
Yeah, she had that long layoff, and to come back like that, she was getting pieced up on the feet. Not a good look, but what does look good is Mackenzie Dern, because no one is going to be complaining about watching her fight anytime soon.
Shout out to the new UFC Venom gear.
Yeah, shout out to those new shorts because they did not disappoint.
We should have just opened up with that when we talked about it. Any thoughts on that fight? Venom gear.
When we talked about that.
Case.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No problem. We have Mackenzie Dern versus Nina Nunes.
Who's that lady?
There's Megan Anderson and there.
No, that's not Megan Anderson. That's
I see Mackenzie Dern on the right. Is that who's on the left? Is that Ticia Torres on the left?
No, it's a different girl. She's been out for a while because she has a crazy neck injury. I can't think of her name. Anyways, that's who I'd like to see her.
Tatiana Suarez?
Yes, Tatiana Suarez. That's the fight I want to see next. Because
that's interesting. Isn't Tatiana Suarez a pretty good wrestler?
Yes. Mackenzie Dern working with Jason Perillo now. Shout out to my Facebook friend Jason Perillo.
Maybe it's recency bias and I need to go watch Tatiana Suarez fight, but I feel like Mackenzie Dern's stand-up maybe gets the edge in that one.
Maybe
we just
Suarez knocked out. What's her face? I can't remember. She's really good though. She's has a problem with her neck right now, which is preventing her from fighting. But other people above her that I would like to see, they haven't adjusted the rankings yet. Mackenzie Dern's ranked 11th. Nina Nunes is ranked 5th. So number 11 just beat number 5. Carla Esparza and Jan Xiaonin.
Oh, what is she?
She's 3rd.
Wow, she is quietly up there.
Yes. So Tatiana Suarez is, I think, the fight to make, in my personal opinion.
That is pretty good. I do wonder what's next for Joanna, though.
True. I thought she might be booked. But anyways, we can keep it moving. Mike Perry versus Daniel Rodriguez. I had taken the under in this fight, and it didn't happen. But, Mike Perry is just too tough for his own good. Daniel Rodriguez defeats him 30-27 times 2, 30-26. one round gave Tony Weeks gave a 10-8 in round 3. I don't know. Mike Perry got his nose broke again.
Yeah, it was pretty one-sided and disappointing if you were pulling for Mike Perry. Going into it, I had Rodriguez pretty heavy. Toward the right before the fight, though, things kind of changed just because I saw Mike Perry. It seemed like he was taking things more seriously. His weigh-in seemed to go real well. His weight looked on track. And then we go in there, and then sometimes people's jabs just look like they're popping in there. And Daniel Rodriguez, his jab was just connecting. I'm not sure if is that Daniel Rodriguez or is that Mike Perry. He did kind of seem like he just wasn't really moving much in there. But
he doesn't move his head at all.
Yeah, he was kind of just there. So, but I don't want to take anything away from Daniel Rodriguez. I still think he is pretty good fighter. So, I'm interested in seeing what's next for him. I noticed there was in Daniel Rodriguez, one of his interviews after, I think it was Brent Okamoto asked him if he had heard correctly where his coach said, do the mushroom. Remember that when we did mushrooms on the ranch, do that kick or something like that. So there's some mushroom kick or something like that.
Those guys microdose when they train. I don't think Cowboy does, but Joe Schilling does. He's talked about it on JRE. They microdose psilocybin mushrooms, and they train. It's supposed to help with your.
Oh, so Cowboy trains with Rodriguez on the ranch out there and stuff? That's awesome. I didn't know that. So
and he also trains with Eddie Bravo at 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. So I think he goes back and forth.
Okay, so that if I knew that, I would have been even more all in on Daniel Rodriguez, I think, affiliated with Cowboy, who already beat Mike Perry.
True.
That stuff.
Yeah, Joe Schilling, they talked about it helps their vision, it helps their reactions. They see things better as they're sparring and stuff. So it's
flow state. Just get in there and flow.
Exactly. Yeah, helps to achieve that flow state.
Yep, I feel him. That's pretty cool. But Mike Perry. It's interesting to see what comes next. I see that Darren Till had his thing about, hey, I would take Mike Perry in. Looks like he needs structure, stuff like that. Mike Perry didn't really seem interested, which is totally on brand for Mike Perry.
I think at this point, Mike Perry is just who he is. Even if he changes his out of the cage antics, once he gets in there, he could say all the prayers and all the stuff that he wants to in the world. But once he gets in there, he's just going to be headhunting and his defense is not going to get any better. Not at this point in his career. I don't think so.
Yep.
Unless he's just crazy Mike Perry. He could probably do all the training and look good in training, but get in the fight and then just go back to being crazy Mike Perry,
Yeah.
He's just kind of is who he is at this point.
Yep. He's got to have a better approach if he wants to walk in and take their head off. He can't literally just walk in and try to take their head off. Daniel Rodriguez has a jab for that, and he showed it.
Real quick notables. Solecki versus Joe Solecki versus Jim Miller. Joe Solecki wins unanimous decision. In the round one, this looked like it was going to be a firefight. The first part of the round, they're slinging him, and then Jim Miller, he's a one-round fighter. The rest of the fight, he just kept getting taken down. And that's pretty much the story. Solecki decisions him. Doesn't make me terribly excited to see what he has to do next. I would, if he got to finish, then maybe.
I'm pretty interested in Solecki just because his last fight, he got a nasty finish. And in this fight, the moment the commentators brought this up, I was thinking that Solecki for decision is probably the way this should have been handled, like for bets and stuff. But they started talking about how Jim Miller was like Joe Solecki's idol growing up, or a legend, someone he looked up to. And whenever you hear that, you think like Israel Adesanya versus Anderson Silva. that could have been a one-sided beatdown. I feel like we all know at this point, but respect to Anderson Silva. I just think when there's things like that tends to happen. I think Joe Selecki could have gotten the finish, but maybe not. Maybe he just wanted to hold him there and win the rounds. But I feel like that was a respect thing personally. I mean, I'm still interested in Joe Selecki, but maybe that's because I was so high on him going in. I feel like if he needs to be, he's a killer in there, but we'll see. But yeah, when they started talking about how he looked up to Jim Miller, now he's fighting Joe Miller, they just talked about the age difference and how it's crazy how eventually your heroes become your rivals and stuff like that. I mean, how often do you see the hero become the rival and they go in there to literally, take them out, and make them retire, stuff like that?
No, that's a great point. Now that you say that, if I would have known, I probably would have bet.
Win by decision.
Yeah, by decision.
Yep. But I didn't even think about it till I didn't know that actually till they brought it up, and then they started talking about it a bit. I was like, this is probably, and then it started to happen. Maybe confirmation bias happened, but you see, I mean, if you rewatch the fight, you see Joe Selecki. It seems like he can do a lot. He's young, strong, and talented, and he's controlling most of that fight. In contrast with his fight before that, where he literally just climbs the back, takes it at will, and snatches the neck and chokes him out. But yeah, I'm still interested to see what's next for Joe Selecki, I would say.
Yes. Okay. Other notable winners on the card would be John Makdessi, Hunter Azure. I thought Jordan Griffin won his fight, but Luis Saldana, who I would like to see a lot more, he ends up winning. The Unjung looked fantastic in my eyes, and Impa Kasanganai makes his drop down to welterweight and looked really good.
He did look good. I just want to say Jack Shore actually beat Hunter Azure, staying undefeated, going to 14-0.
I'm sorry, I said that wrong. I got those two mixed up in my head. Yeah. Jack Shore looks good. I'm excited. I'm excited for both of these kids actually.
Yeah, no, Hunter. That's one of the ones where it was almost like a smaller scale Sadiq Yusuf versus Arnold Allen, where it's like these guys, these kids are both monsters, and I'm still in decision. Yep. Which is interesting if you look at Jack Shore's track record. I mean, round 2 finish, round 3 finish, round 3 finish. I mean, he's not going decision a lot, and this one was a split decision. So I feel like that speaks volumes for Hunters, or for sure, being able to hang. But time will tell. I think that will be a good one, though.
So overall, it wasn't the best card. There was a lot of decisions, but there were some fun spots, and
and some questionable judging, like you mentioned. I actually had a bet for, was it Luis Saldana? Was that the one you were saying? Yeah. Where I thought he lost. I thought my money was gone, and then he got the decision win, and I was like, okay. But I disagree with that one. But yeah, you never know. You never know. It was one of the ones. Sometimes you can just feel it, where it's like, I really feel like there's still a chance though that these judges can see this however they're gonna see it. And then
Adelaide Bird, who's been the heart of a lot of controversial decisions, she's the one that gave Saldana rounds 1 and 3.
Okay, interesting.
So
I don't know much about who they are, except I guess online I see a lot of
Adelaide Bird was she, I don't know if you're a boxing fan at all, but the first Triple G versus Canelo fight, which is one of the worst decisions I've ever seen. She was.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
She was involved with that one. Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
And a bunch of other ones. But we are out of time for this episode. At the end of each episode, we like to give a shout out. My shout out for this one's going to be to DMX. RIP, was a big part of my childhood growing up. Just have some awareness for addiction and substance abuse for people out there. this kind of stuff has affected me big time. So shout out to him and, all his great music that he made. Anything for you?
Yep. I was gonna say shout out to there's a YouTube user High_5 HIGH space then the number 5. Basically, I'll just make YouTube pick videos and fight pick videos and stuff like that. And sometimes talking about fights and picks can be kind of like a sensitive topic. And I just appreciated a comment they left that was, disagreeing with what I thought, but still pretty civil. We were able to have a good conversation just about fights in general. And I thought it was a good example and just message to give of just, we're not always going to agree on fights, but it's not, you don't have to attack each other. And sometimes you see that online.
Oh my gosh,
People,
are you kidding me?
people take it to the grave.
That's what Twitter's made for.
Yeah.
No, and sorry, I don't know if I gave a shout out to your YouTube channel in your intro. Bad host.
Oh no, that's okay.
Your YouTube channel is called Real Quick Picks.
Yes, or it might even be called Mitch's Quick Picks, but if you type in
I
Real
think it is Mitch's Quick
Picks, you'll find it anyway if you type in either, which is more
really, if you really want it, Mitch will take his tits out for you to subscribe to him. So
yeah. Exactly.
That.
I'm always having fun on Twitter, so I did forget about that tweet.
Okay. With that, everyone else, step your game up.